Imagine waking up and finding out every cent you ever earned is gone. The bank doors are locked. The air smells like desperation. Your neighbors, once proud businessmen, are now burning their mahogany furniture just to stay warm. This wasn't a movie. This was America in 1929. But here is the chilling truth. The Great Depression didn't just break the stock market. It rewired the human brain. It created a psychological scar so deep that it's still dictating how you spend your money in 2024. You think you're a modern independent consumer? Think again. Your shopping habits, your fear of debt, even the way your supermarket is laid out. It's all a ghost of a century-old trauma. Today, we're going inside the mind of the Depression-era survivor to see how the greatest economic collapse in history created the modern world. To understand the change, we have to look at what was lost. The 1920s were the roaring 20s. It was a decade of buy now, pay later. Americans were drunk on credit. They bought radios, cars, and vacuum cleaners on installment plans. For the first time, debt was cool. Then came Black Tuesday. In a matter of hours, $14 billion vanished. By 1933, 25% of the workforce was unemployed. But the real shift was internal. The American consumer went from an optimist to a survivalist. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. This wasn't just a catchy rhyme, it was a survival code. Before 1929, if a coat had a hole, you bought a new one. After 1929, you patched that hole with a piece of an old blanket. When that blanket wore out, you turned it into a rag. When the rag was shredded, you used it to plug gaps in the window to keep the cold out. The concept of disposable died. Waste became a sin. One of the most fascinating shifts happened in the kitchen. Farm women began noticing that the cotton sacks their flour and chicken feed came in could be reused. They started sewing underwear, towels, and dresses out of burlap and heavy cotton. Now, here is where modern marketing was born. Instead of being offended, companies like Purina and General Mills realized they had a new product. They started printing beautiful floral patterns, polka dots, and sun hats directly onto the fabric of their sacks. They even made the labels out of water-soluble ink so they could be washed off easily. This was the first time brands realized they weren't just selling a product, they were selling a solution to poverty. It taught Americans to look at every purchase not for what it is, but for what else it could become. This multi-purpose mindset is why we still love all-in-one products today. Before the Depression, grocery shopping was a luxury service. You walked into a small store, handed a list to a clerk, and they fetched everything for you. It was slow, personal, and expensive. But in 1930, a man named Michael Cullen had a radical, almost heretical idea. He thought, what if we stop helping the customer? What if we make them do the work, but give them the lowest prices on earth? He opened King Cullen in an old warehouse. No fancy counters, no helpful clerks, just piles of food and a basket. The American consumer, desperate to save every penny, flocked to it. We didn't choose supermarkets because we loved self-service. We chose them because we were too poor to be served. This destroyed the small shop culture of America and birthed the giant retail landscape of Walmart and Costco. We sacrificed the personal touch for the price tag. When the economy collapsed, the cereal giant Post did what most smart businesses do. They cut costs. They stopped advertising. They went into hibernation to wait out the storm. Kellogg's did the opposite. They doubled their advertising budget. They invested heavily in a new, experimental cereal called Rice Krispies. Why? Because Kellogg's understood that when people are scared, they look for value and stability. By being the only voice heard on the radio, they became the safe choice. By 1933, while Post was struggling, Kellogg's profits were up 30%. This changed American consumer behavior forever. We became loyal to the brands that stood by us during the dark times. It created the brand loyalty obsession that Apple and Nike exploit today. You would think that in a depression, entertainment dies first. Wrong. In the 1930s, 60 to 80 million Americans still went to the movies every week. Why? Because of the escapism premium. When your real life is a nightmare, you will pay your last nickel to live in a dream for 2 hours. This is why movie theaters started selling popcorn. Before the 30s, theaters hated popcorn. It was loud and messy. But they realized that for 5 cents, popcorn was the only luxury a family could afford. This birthed the lipstick effect, a psychological phenomenon where consumers in a crisis will forego big purchases, like cars, but spend more on small, affordable luxuries like snacks or beauty products to maintain their mental health. The most haunting change was the trust gap. An entire generation stopped trusting banks. They began hiding cash in mattresses, burying jars of gold in the backyard, and hoarding food. This is the Depression mentality. Even when the economy boomed in the 1950s, these people never changed. They taught their children, the baby boomers, that debt is a monster and waste is a crime. This is why, even today, in 2024, during any sign of inflation or crisis, our first instinct is to panic buy. We are still reacting to 1929. Our brains are hardwired to expect the floor to fall out at any second. The Great Depression ended in 1939, but it never really left. It's in the way we hunt for coupons. It's in the giant value packs at the grocery store. It's in our deep cultural obsession with security over risk. We are not the carefree spenders of the 1920s anymore. We are the children of the Great Collapse. So, next time you're debating whether to buy that on-sale item you don't really need, ask yourself, is that you talking? Or is it the ghost of 1929? If this deep dive changed how you look at your own habits, hit that subscribe button. We're exploring the hidden history of the modern world, one story at a time. Final question. Look at your own family. What is one weird money habit your parents or grandparents passed down to you? Let's talk about the legacy of the Depression in the comments below.